Welcome to Beyond the Box. Today we are holding space for something many parents carry silently. Parenting a neurodivergent child is a love story, deep and beautiful and fierce, but it's also one of the most demanding journeys a human heart can take. Too often, parents, especially moms, find ourselves depleted, isolated, and wondering, am I enough? This conversation isn't about perfect answers. It's about truth. It's about compassion and real strategies that remind us that we are not alone. Our returning guest, Mampho, is no stranger to this community. She has continued to be a voice of clarity, of compassion, and lived experience in her community, of her children's school, and at work. As a mother raising neurodivergent children, a loving wife and a working mom in a rare skill sector as a radiographer, she knows the balancing act of therapies, routines, and endless school meetings. But what happens when your cup runs empty? Or does it ever run empty? In this episode, we are slowing down to ask the question many parents rarely hear. How are you doing? Like really, how are you doing, Mampho?
I'm tired.
I can relate.
Exhausted.
Yeah, in this time of the year, it can be really exhausting.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about this topic today, especially to discuss it with you, because you have walked the journey and you are still walking the journey. And sometimes what we hear is, that's in my language. I don't know if you know what it means.
I understand.
You do.
I speak Hlanga too.
Oh yes,
Yes.
you do. Absolutely. And sometimes we just can't hold the knife by its edge. And we can't always be strong.
Yeah.
But going into the first question of the day, we are focusing on extreme exhaustion and the burnout crash. How many of you at home have Googled at early hours of the morning, I just need 1 hour alone. I just need 1 hour for myself. Experiencing fatigue, emotional fatigue and burnout. And I want to know, Mampho, from you, are there moments that stand out when you've experienced emotional fatigue and burnout that you can share with us?
Yes. And a most recent one that I can think of, it was late at night before bed, lying next to my husband. I'm like, you know, I love you guys. You are the center of my world, but I need a break from you. I had to say it, and I had to say the stuff I said before that so that he understands that it doesn't come from a place of have he done something wrong or have the kids annoyed me. It was coming from a point of I'm exhausted. And I wish I even said to him, I wish for a break away from you and the kids, but I don't know how it would happen because I want to be in my house and rest, but without you guys for a little bit.
Wow. And it takes a lot of courage to say something like that. And I particularly love how you approached this the conversation, because you started by explaining that, without a doubt, you guys are my world.
Yeah.
Right?
Because the first thing your husband will think, you want a break from him? Did I do something? So I didn't want him wondering a lot of things. I just wanted him to really hear what I wanted to say, that I'm exhausted. I need some time to rest. And I don't know how I would feel it, because he could send me away, but I wanted to be at home. I want to be in my usual comfortable space and rest.
Sure, that's so interesting. As you're speaking, I'm thinking, usually when people say, I want my space, it means I want to go away in a cabin somewhere in the mountains or by the river. But you wanted to be alone at home.
I don't like unusual.
unusual spaces.
Yes, the space then makes me uncomfortable, and then I struggle to fall asleep, and it takes me days to adjust. So I wanted the space I know, be alone, get the silence, and amazing enough, he found a way to grant me that. On holidays in July, he was like, I need to go work in the Eastern Cape for a little bit. I'll take the kids with. There's grandma, there's aunt there, and you can be alone.
So
I was alone for a week.
So thoughtful in your own. It helps to have a very understanding partner, because you know, him getting out of the house with the kids allows you that time where you can be alone. And I think it's important at home to acknowledge that sometimes the most radical act of love is to rest, because your child deserves a parent who's not running on empty.
Definitely. Especially with our special needs children, there's more to parenting them. There's more to listening to them. There's more to parenting them. There's more to listening to them. There's more to the questions we have for them, because you must read everything now. This goes back to what we had said in the previous episode with Abongile. There's energy, there's gestures, there's, you read between the lines, you listen to the silence, and you have autistic children that don't just give you the answer to the question you're asking. You have to figure it out. Like Sanda, my daughter, she doesn't respond to anything. She gives you generic answers. So you have to figure out if she's really okay. If you're asking if she's okay, look at how she moves. Has she changed anything? Has she been to the bathroom today? Does she want to bath in the evening? Because if she doesn't, then it means something is going on. So you have to be fully present. You can't be running on empty, because you're going to miss a lot of clues into their souls.
Wow. You know, as moms, Mampho, we often go on a guilt trip because we're naturally nurturers. So when things are not going the way we expect them to, or the way we want them to, it's very easy for us to blame ourselves. And I'm curious whether you have had moments like other moms or at home when things are not going as planned or as expected, and we just like, oh, I've ruined it. I've ruined everything with just one small act.
So those moments happen a lot when you know that you are in a house with children that have a certain expectation of you. For example, there's this, my children are picky eaters, right? There is this go-to food that we undereat. It's simple and straightforward, but daddy can never make it. It doesn't matter what else mommy is doing, or if mommy is working a late shift and she's going to come home later, then he'll have it later, because mommy must make it, because mommy is going to make it exactly the way he wants it. And it doesn't matter what dad tries. So if I, running on my empty, exhausted and whatever else, come home to a child that's been hungry for longer than usual because he's waiting for something I'm going to make a certain way, then he has that expectation of me. I can't be too tired to do it. And I can't be too exhausted to do it right. There's no messing up. Otherwise, then his whole day is ruined. His food is not how he likes it. And he's not being silly. He wants exactly the same thing, exactly the same way every day. So
sure, I can imagine, Mampho, because in a situation like that, where your son wants his food a specific way, and you're not able to meet that at that moment, it can be quite easy to feel resentful, towards yourself. But we need to normalize those feelings, the moments of frustrations and resentment as normal human experiences.
Yes. So a lot of the time, there are times I've gotten it wrong. I'm not perfect. So I don't get it right every time. But that's why I know that I can't be too tired to get it right. It's because of what I've seen when I didn't get it right. So we'll have balls flying and it's not right. It's so wrong. And it goes into the bin and then he sleeps hungry. So it's the feeling of when it's not right.
Yeah.
And it comes through when I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, now I have to get up. And my husband is right in the kitchen. He could do it.
Yeah.
But the feeling of knowing when it's not right kicks me off whatever else I'm doing. And I know I need to do it. I've seen not right.
Sure, you have seen how the situation can be
if it's not right.
If it's not right, and I can only imagine if you are exhausted and you've just come from work, and maybe even it was challenging at work on that day, that you must have some kind of strategies on how to positive talk, to show compassion towards yourself. What are those strategies? What do you do when you haven't done it right, or when you're too exhausted and you mess it up?
You know what? I always remind myself that our neurodiverse children exist in a world where they are being constantly forced to adjust instead of a world that's open to them to adjust to them. So I remind myself that my child already had a difficult day, possibly more difficult than mine. And I need to work around being there for them and not them understanding that I'm tired. They know I work for them. My son's got this thing that he says all the time. He's so motivational. Mommy works hard for us. And whenever I'm not looking like myself, he'll be like, oh, mommy is tired. Let's give mommy time to rest. And then he'll bank everything for later. Mommy, you can do this after you rest. You can do this for me after you rest. He still wants what he wants. But he understands that sometimes I need to rest. But what I did last night, I had a very difficult day at work yesterday. And I got home blasting my music, because sometimes that's how I shut my brain down. Like, I don't want to think.
Sometimes it's just a loud music that helps you, bring yourself to yourself.
It's that for me all the time. I mean, I'm sensitive to the noise, but my brain just doesn't stop working, and then I get a headache, and then I need the loud music
to center yourself.
Yes, to get my brain to stop a little bit.
Interesting.
Then I should not hear my thoughts. That's the idea. So I got home, and the song that I was listening to and connected to at the time was getting to the part I like. So I just texted my husband for him not to panic, because I was from a late shift. I'm in front of the house. I just need a minute. So I sat in the car. I listened to the song. I sang along, and I finished it. Then I went inside, and then I could meet my kids' expectations. Sometimes if I'm that tired and I'm already lying in bed trying to take a break, I've had those times. And I've had to be very creative about how to get my exhaustion out of the way. I know that sounds not good for myself, but it's the kind of selflessness that a mother wants to take on.
Yeah.
So I've found tools. I have a massage gun. I just massage gun my feet immediately because they sore from standing at work, and that's just 3-5 minutes of that, and then I can stand up and be in the kitchen.
This is amazing. This is very insightful, Mampho, because you're talking about easy things that parents can do, that you do, that you found they've been working for you, and it's just a matter of acknowledging, I just need a minute. And just that 1 minute charges you for what's waiting for you.
Yes, I think it's all about. I'm obviously not an expert on this, control of emotions, but I feel it's all about studying yourself. You study yourself and just see where you can stretch yourself to accommodate your child. Because how I think about it is in a picture form in my head. An igloo.
𝐿𝐬𝐬, that something comes to mind. I see.
Yes, the ice people house.
Yes.
I think of myself as that for my children. And sometimes I understand that I need to stretch further so that they can freely run around. Sometimes I can stretch smaller so that they can be contained, feel safe and comforted. That's how I think about it. It's a picture in my head. So whenever I'm feeling that tired, I just tell myself the eagle needs to grow bigger a little bit. They're tall, they're big. So I need to expand a bit. And then sometimes I can retract. It's okay.
That's amazing. The level of selflessness that I'm picking up from this beautiful stories you are sharing about how you view motherhood, how you view your role as a mother. But what I also appreciate from what you said, Mampho, what I'm picking up is that, love and compassion, they don't have to be perfect.
Yes.
And they're also not calm all the time. They're filled with frustration, sometimes contentment, sometimes joy, sometimes tears, and sometimes I just need a minute, right? Even if the previous day was hard, having to show up every day is what counts for your kids, like an igloo, as you
Definitely.
said. Okay. So we're going to move on to respite and isolation, the search for relief. Raise your hand if you're like me, if you've ever cancelled a break because you just couldn't find anyone you trust. And Mpho, coming back to you, has there been a moment where you need a break? You need to just get away. But you organize that getaway and now it's time to go. And you decided, I can't leave my kids with anybody else. I need to stay home and look after them. Can you share with us a little bit of that?
So a story that comes to mind when you ask me that is when it was the year that it was our 10th anniversary with my husband. So that trip was definitely planned well ahead of time. We knew the 10th anniversary was coming, and we decided that we want to go on a getaway for a few days and be alone. So we prepped and who's going to be with the kids, what they must do, and all of those things.
It's a decade anniversary.
Yes.
It's long.
So fortunately, this one didn't end up being cancelled. But being an animal of habit myself, I hardly plan getaways. I plan a kid's sleepover with someone so that I'm at home getting the getaway. Yes, because I prefer that a lot. So a lot of the time, that's my sister or our helper, because we both work. Yes. So, but the reason why I'm telling the story of the 10th year anniversary is because leading up to the day that we were supposed to go, we kept thinking about cancelling all the time.
Wow.
But we kept thinking this is the only gift we're giving to ourselves. And we don't make a big deal of our anniversary every year. So when the 10 years came, we even started discussing how, do you feel like it's been 10 years? I feel like we're making a big deal of nothing.
Oh, you're minimizing it.
Yes.
Just so you have enough reason to cancel it.
Yes. It sounded like, no, because at some point we thought we're going to have, your renewal of vows and in an event. We're like, we're not going to call people for this small thing. It feels like it was yesterday. Has it really been 10 years? And, we kept questioning if it was a reason enough to go away. But we eventually went against a lot of pressure from ourselves, not anyone else, and fretting over the person that's going to be with the kids. Are they going to be okay? So anyway, my sister, who doesn't live far from our house, was on standby all the time. The driver that takes the kids to school was on standby all the time, so that they don't have to leave the house to go to shops, because it's very difficult to go to the shops with my kids. And it's something I don't let other people have to go through. So my sister would go there all the time. The helper is there with them, who already knows what they eat when they eat it, their routines. And it was a very difficult thing to do for us.
Sure.
At their age, it was the first time we actually got away for that long. But we also had to focus on the growth of the both of us, on the sacrifices. We make a lot of sacrifices, the two of us, for our families. And this one time, it was meant and supposed to be for us. And there's also a lot of other things that we included in that getaway that were not about the anniversary. We had been toying with the idea of stop being employed, start businesses, do this. We had so many ideas that we would have an idea now, and then we would see someone doing it. We were like, we took too long to get to it.
I can relate to that.
So my husband even did this bungee jumping, and he said for him, it wasn't for bungee jumping. It was for him to trigger the jump and start. So that he felt like it will unlock the jump and start some business, do something about all the ideas you always have. So there's a lot of other things that we included there that were important for us as partners and important for our growth moving forward. For the expensive children we have, we couldn't just depend on our salaries anymore.
You needed to go on that 10-year anniversary.
We had to go.
Yeah.
We went. A lot happened there that could have hindered some of the things that we planned, but we made it happen. But the important thing obviously is how we wanted to cancel all the time. We even left later than we were supposed to, but
it's interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us, because now that leads me to wonder, and this is obviously not an isolated case, but I find that more and more parents who are raising neurodivergent children sometimes find it difficult to trust other people with their children. Why do you think that is?
So it all has to do with, I saw on the episode with 𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐻, you touched on this.
Yes.
There's that parental instinct that tells you before you are told that something is different about your child, right? And I've said before, I didn't come from a background where there were a lot of children. I actually grew up believing children don't like me. A lot of the time, whenever I stretched my hands to a child, they cried. And I'm the second last born at home, and my sister is just 1 year younger than me. So I have no experience with children until I had my children. So I didn't know normal milestones. I didn't know what to expect. I literally just went into it. And then I had special children, and they are all I know. And before they were diagnosed, I had the instincts that told me something was going on. And
before they were, or before diagnosis, not
before diagnosis, yes, before diagnosis. So for me, that instinct is what told me how to adjust and be the parent that they needed, before I knew that I was doing more than a parent of a neurotypical child would do. And from just that, I feel like when the diagnosis came, the explanation of what it means, because we had to go to therapy for parents to understand what the diagnosis meant for our children. And we were given tools, we were told what we could do, what we could not do, what we should try, where to take them for school, and all of this, so those things. But there was the remaining parental instinct that I can't explain, that you don't think another person will have for your child. Because like I'm saying now, we are able to put it to words because we think about it and talk about it with my husband, how we do with our children. I said now, when they come from school, if I ask Sandra, how was your day? She says, fine. That doesn't answer you. And that's usually not the actual answer. You have to read her body language, read her energy, see if she's going to her usual routine things. Then you will know how her day was. And you go dig for the homework and all of those things. So I don't think another person could have that instinct that I have for my child. And I there was also a time when I actually said this to my husband, whenever Sanda is about to get sick, I feel it. I started recording the pattern. I said to him, I only told him once I recognized the pattern. I said, I keep thinking it's just in my head, but I think I've realized there's a pattern. She used to have recurring chest infections, and until the time we took out her tonsils. So I would feel like I'm sick, but I wouldn't be sick. And then I would realize when her symptoms would come in, I would know what they are because I sort of felt them.
Wow.
But I didn't have tonsillitis, but I would feel something, and then I started recognizing a pattern. Then I would be like, once I start feeling it, I would watch how long it takes before I see symptoms from her. And I said to him, I think we are somehow teleconnected.
Interesting.
Because I know exactly when she's going to get sick.
Wow. So there's this motherly innate instinct.
You can't teach it to someone else.
You can't teach it to somebody else who's not the parent of the child.
You can't teach it to someone else. And while I say that, we have a lot of support from both our families. Like I say, my sister sometimes takes the kids so that we can relax. But I can't teach her. And sometimes she tells me I'm annoying because I'll call her all the time. And she's like, they ate. I did this. I did that. They also told me, because now they speak, right? She's like, because they only became fully verbal at 7. So it's like, you know, your children can tell me what they want. I've done everything at the time that I was supposed to. Stop calling us, kind of thing. But, and that's my sister. That's often always with my kids, but I still check on her as well because I know that instinct that I have for them, I can't teach it to someone else. They can be around them, they can get used to their routines and their habits, but the feeling that something else is needed, no one else is going to have that for them.
Sure, that is so insightful, literally. And I think in South African context, there is, and it's important to mention, I know some families are safer, but we do hear of GBV, and sometimes kids get they get abused. So there's that element. Yes, will another parent know how to look after my child? Will they be able to listen to even the non-verbal cues that I usually am very aware to? But there's an element of, you know, will my kids be abused, even by relatives?
There's also the fact that, yes, a lot of abuse usually comes from people that are close to them. And there's also the fact that neurodivergent children are very vulnerable in the sense that it takes longer for them to understand their individuality, what should be touched and not be touched, what they should tell that is not normal behavior, right? They're figuring out what normal behavior is when they are not normal per se, right? So it takes longer for them, and it makes them vulnerable to all these other things happening without them realizing that it shouldn't be happening, which is the case with neurotypical children as well, but just takes longer even at an older age with a neurodivergent child. But there was a time, and this is why I keep saying this topic feels like it starts in the middle. Our childhood as the parents sort of makes me feel like we're supposed to be starting there. So there was a time in our marriage with Abongile where we discussed difficult topics. Actually, funny enough, this is how the story starts. A patient at work asked me the one evening I was working a late shift. I was alone. Passage was half full with ward patients. I'm trying to catch up on the work, and I was doing this patient, and she said to me after I was done, "You didn't give me enough time to breathe in and hold my breath." And I said to her, "Oh, I apologize, I didn't realize." And she said to me, "I'm a retired radiographer. I understand why you didn't. It's at the end of the day, you are alone on this shift now, you are tired, and you need to finish all of the patients that are here in the passage. I understand.
Wow, what a thoughtful patient.
I was like, thank you, and I really appreciate that you said that. And then she goes on to say to me, she was someone who was always curious about human behavior besides the work that she did. So she's just been studying my body language since before I took her in to the time when I did her x-rays. And then she goes on to ask, are you tired? So I'm like, I don't think about it because I can't stop now. I do need to finish, as you know how it goes. And then she says to me, do you take this home? Does it affect your partner that you get this tired and you're under so much pressure? I'm like, I can't lie to you because you've done this job. So yes, it does. And then she asked for my number. I didn't know what for. I still needed to finish the patients in the passage, so I gave him a number. So from that night, she said, after your shift, please come see me in the ward. I'm like, okay. It's a fresh, unusual thing in my day. And it's someone that has done the job I'm doing. And she's old now, but she's got experience, right? I'm like, there must be something important she's going to tell me. So I finished my shift later than usual, as usual. And then I called my husband on my way up to the ward that, don't panic, I'm safe. I haven't left work. I met someone, I think something valuable is coming up. I'm just going to quickly go see them and then I'm going to come home. And he said, okay. So I went up to the ward and she starts telling me that she worked in Dubai and so I'm like, okay, maybe she's going to be encouraging about moving abroad with work and stuff. And then she's like, I want to talk about your marriage. I don't know, this is private too. I don't know you.
Yes. Interesting.
But she says to me, I think you're very good at your job. You were very accommodating and you didn't respond to me with attitude when I told you there's something you didn't do right. You were very understanding and apologetic. And I feel like that means you're someone who's too understanding and accommodating of other people. So that would tell me what you do with your exhaustion when you go home. I want to know if your partner feels it or you just suppress it all the time, because then how many years have you been doing this? So how many years have you been suppressing things?
Wow.
This person is opening a can of worms, but the short version of this is she ended up saying to me, go home, tell your husband we need to have honest, difficult conversations and see what it's going to do for your marriage.
Wow.
That was actually the year of our 10th anniversary, but it was like mid-year. And I was like, what do I have to lose? Someone that knows something and saw something in me decided to say this. And as you know, I don't believe in coincidence. So I'm like, maybe something does need to be communicated. And it took God putting this person in my path. I go home, I tell him, that person I went to see is an old lady. She said this and this, and she said, we need to talk. We started from that day on to tap into, we haven't had one. Can we have difficult, honest conversations?
So 10 years into your marriage.
And this is something that we religiously do now from time to time. And we put it out there before we start that can we have this conversation? It's difficult, but it must be honest, right? This gives him room to not think he did something wrong, but to tell me anything he might have been suppressing. And it gives me room to bring something I might have been suppressing. It might not be something wrong. It could be a good thing.
Absolutely.
But it might be something that for some other reason, I might have felt the need to suppress. Maybe something that I think is going to trigger something from his past or from my past. So it's a thing that we do now to a point where we started that thing that we told you about in the previous episode where we tap out and the other parent taps in. That's how we got to a point where we are able to say, can you step in? I need a minute, or I need an hour. And then you go to the room and the other one takes over. It's not because the other is not tired or wasn't involved all day, but it's us remembering when we had difficult conversations. Now, coming back to the issue of trusting people around our children and their safety, there was a day when we were having difficult, honest conversations. And I said to him, I don't know why. I don't have a history of being molested or abused, but I really don't trust any other male except yourself around my children. Not young ones, not cousins, not uncles. And it's not to say I'm thinking a certain way about your family. This includes males in my family too. And then he said to me, I actually feel that way too. I just never wanted to seem like I'm saying it about your family. And after that, if I use the disclaimer, I feel like that about my family too, I wouldn't know if you trust that I wasn't just saying that about one family.
Wow.
So we had a discussion of, okay, we feel the same way about it. So how do we go about making sure that they are never in a position where we feel uncomfortable, especially in the setting of being around family where I can't say, I feel uncomfortable, let's not leave them. You know, you can't say that in front of people. So we got into this thing of we both feel the same way, we both understand it, then we must have a code for it. Okay, but the code thing is an old thing in our marriage now. This is from before we had kids or got married. We like to communicate in codes. We always feel like from time to time, even in group settings, we need to be able to tap into being alone. We are able to step out of a group and be alone while we are with people.
Sure, that's
so
really empowering.
We just decided to bring that back. It was a friendship thing we used to do when we were dating. So we just brought it back. Like, it could be useful for watching over our kids. We can say anything to each other about our kids in front of other people without them knowing that's what we are saying.
Sure. And that becomes a layer of protection.
It becomes a layer of protection and a scale of balance in terms of our trust in each other and our understanding of how we both feel about the safety of our children. And it's not something we take lightly because of what's happening out there. Definitely.
Absolutely.
So now, even with our families, we have ways around what we must do to protect our children. We've had to set up strategies because this is what we do with the general population in the world, right? Schools, how do we feel? Extracurricular activities, how do we feel? Do we know they are safe? We can't be watching over them and all those things. And one of the steps I actually took 3 years ago when my husband's nephew moved in with us, because we had had the conversation, was I need an assurance that my children are safe all the time, because you know, you get stories of people that haven't been abused. They will say, it was friends of my parents, they came over for a dinner and they came with their child, and while the abuse was happening, I could hear them speaking in the lounge, but because they are being threatened and maybe they haven't been taught how to speak about things that could happen.
What's acceptable in terms of somebody touching me and what's not. It
always happens in their home. It always happens with someone they know. And it's people that can use the line, your mother won't believe you, your mother will be angry at you, such
You're
things.
naughty.
Right? So that's when I started I think my kids are still too young to understand it even now, but I started with the reassurance before bedtime. I tell them, mommy can never be too mad at you. If mommy is upset, it's because mommy is upset at her not teaching you enough. If you make a mistake, it's because mommy hasn't taught you not to do things like that, right? If mommy is mad at herself, not at you. So tell me the truth all the time. I will listen to you and I will believe you. If someone says, Mommy will not believe you, tell them, go tell her. I make it fun. I always go tell her.
Yeah.
Rihanna likes that. I tell them, tell her, because she's going to listen to me. I know that can be a manipulative line that children can use, but understanding my neurodivergent children and the need and urgency of them, knowing that I would believe them, I felt at this stage where they are not fully understanding things, they will not be able to use it to manipulate me. They need to really know they can trust me, and no one can say something that's going to shut their voices down.
Wow. This conversation is important for so many reasons, especially in the context of South Africa, about who do I trust around my kids. And what I appreciate about you and your husband is the fact that you have difficult conversations where in other relationships that might be, how dare you think like that, right? You understand the context. You understand that your children are slightly different. And therefore, you feel a need to be a protector for them. So just as an extension to this insights that you've so beautifully unpacked, and again, within the context of South Africa, or parents that are raising neurodivergent children, I think a big takeaway that I'm taking here is that train your children what's acceptable and what's not, right? Let them know you will always believe them, right? So that gives them the power to speak to you. But also what I'm thinking of, which I also want to hear your views around building a community. Is it at all possible? I know in your case you have your sister, a very trusted friend, but also a family member that you can leave your kids with. But a single mom out there, or a single dad, and they're raising children that are neurodivergent. And do you think it's possible to build a network of trusted friends that can be there when they just need to breathe?
I think it's possible. But now what you are raising comes with a lot of responsibility, which I think a lot of parents to neurodivergent children do not mind. If it's an extra mile you need to walk for your child, you will walk it. That for me brings to mind the issue of advocacy. It goes into advocacy. I think that way because, like you were saying, I have my sister that I trust, but in my entire village that it takes to raise my children, I have a helper. Now, I don't have an au pair, one of those people that are educated to do the job. It's a person that was available to look after children, who actually doesn't have a lot of education anyway. But I had to, besides the interview and seeing if she's able to do the job, she's up to it, I sat down with her and I explained over and over time until she had questions, because that's how you know someone is listening to you. Until she had questions about my children. I kept saying to her, they are different. She fortunately comes from a similar rural background as we do, which is where we go sometimes with the kids. So I kept saying to her, they are different. And she didn't know what I meant. I told her the word. I knew she didn't know what it means, which was fine for me. But over time, she started asking questions. Okay, I see what you mean. I saw this, I saw that, I saw this. And she has experience in being a helper with kids, right? So when the questions came, it was an advantage for me to expand her understanding and to shape it to exactly how my two children are. Because I mean, she could meet autistic children somewhere else now, but she's my helper for these two children
who are unique in their own way.
So I needed her to learn and know my children. So it took over a year or two with her for me to know that we could go on the 10th year anniversary and leave her with the kids. It was important for me to know that she is willing to learn their routines. She understands she can miss things. She can overlook a reaction because of how unique my children are, and she needed to cater to specifically their needs. So I feel like I have trained a stranger that knows nothing about neurodiversity how to treat my children to a point where I'm able to trust her. If it goes as far as me realizing that in her personal space, she doesn't extend as much care to her children as she does to mine because of the extent I've gone to help her understand how they are different and what they need. And to even have some of the honest, difficult conversations with her, because I don't know every detail of her background, right? Because, you know, psychologists will tell you, hurt people hurt people.
That's true.
Someone might feel that something painful that has happened in their past is justified to happen to the next person. And sometimes our children are not safe with the nannies. So I needed to know that whatever might have happened to her goes out the window when she comes to my children. And it takes a lot. So yes, the village is possible to build, but it takes so much more to do with each person that forms that village. And I feel like it can never be enough. Hence, it's a temporary arrangement of, I'm going to be gone for 3 days, and she looks over after the kids, and having to memorize because she's not a sleep-in, memorize their medication, when it should be taken, how
because there's that part as well, medication, understanding, you know,
why they need
why they take medication.
Yes, because any other person is going to be like, all children are like this, or all children do this. Your child doesn't need all these things that you are doing to them. So for me, it's important for people in my circle to understand that I don't take decisions lightly. So if I've decided that this is something I'm going with for my child, it's because they need it and I see it working for my child.
Wow, you've unloaded so much, and I'm hoping at home you're listening and some of this can resonate, and you could try some of the approaches that Mampho tried with her kids to build that village. And as you're saying, Mampho, it's not something that just happens.
No.
You put in efforts, you train the people. And one important thing that stands out is that you have difficult conversations, not just with your husband, but with each member that forms that village.
Yes. My children are, children are not possessions. But in terms of being an igloo over them, they are the most prized thing that depends on me. They are priceless. I call them sunshines. And literally, they're this shine in my life. I can never be too difficult to a person that I want to entrust with them. This is one of the things I told my helper when we needed to have the difficult conversation of abuse and making sure that if she's just with them, for example, when we got their school driver, it's a male. And when I say, please go with him and then he can drop you back at home, it's because I don't want him alone with them until there's a certain level of trust. I mean, anyone else could just get annoyed. Why must I go and then be brought back? Kind of thing. So what I said to her, I explicitly said to her, I worry about things like molestation for my children. And maybe it could be easy for the next person like you to think, so-and-so doesn't look harmful. I don't think they would do anything. I don't need to go with them all the time. But I sat her down. I told her stories. I needed her to understand how I understand it, how I feel about it. And my think best part of it for her, that she still says to me when she said this, I understood what you wanted, is the part where I said, a child that has been molested is a broken child. I don't want to fix what's been broken. I want to be ahead of the breaking. So I don't want to deal with something that has happened. Let's avoid it. Let's not get there.
Absolutely.
It could easily happen anywhere, anyhow. I can't be with them all the time, but I try to work hard to trust the people that they're around.
Wow. That is, and as a mom, I can relate to what you're saying, and how much more for a mom of a neurodivergent, not knowing that your kids might not be able to explicitly express, what's happening. But it's beautiful that you're explaining how you go about training and making sure everybody in the circle is somebody you can trust to look after your child when you just need a moment. Thank you so much, Mampho, for unpacking that. We're going to move over to the other side and now talk about the community. I think you've kind of touched on it a little bit. So I want to actually, on the topic of community, and it's important more so in our Black families and our Black cultures, how maybe you can unpack the role of a community as far as making sure that they support you as a parent or as a family raising a neurodivergent child. Do people understand, or how do we make sure they understand so that our kids are not vulnerable?
So this does go back definitely to advocacy. People don't easily understand. And even when you have spoken about something, this is why I emphasize the importance of someone understanding. It's not about someone hearing and understanding are two different things. So when you are busy trying to build trust with someone over your children, you need to know that they understand, and they go past hearing you, that they understand what you are saying and what you are asking or expecting of them. So for me, a lot of the time in families, especially big families, you will talk about something and you are just at some point going to be known as the person that keeps bringing that up, your different children, this and that. And I said previously, a lot of the time, neurodiversity is in families. Someone has been acting like that all their lives in the family, and no one knew what the name of it was. So it is familiar to them, and because it's familiar, it's easy to dismiss. Oh no, they just take after so and so. And in some Black communities, neurodivergent children are believed to be spiritually inclined. They call it 𝐒𝐫𝐻𝐻𝑒𝐻𝑒𝐻𝑒𝐻𝑒𝑚 or 𝑟indwaso. And then it's dismissed just as that. Every symptom of every stage is just seen as progress towards fulfilling your calling. They call it the calling.
Interesting.
And they believe that once you've gone for the calling initiation, you become a sangoma or whatever it is that they believe you are called to do, that then you will be fine. And certain rituals need to happen, and then the child will be fine. Now we are in an age where we have to deal with all of those pushbacks. That's not what it is. That's not what it is, and everyone feels that they're an expert. And if you know Black families, then you know that adults will be like, we lived before you were alive.
That's right.
We know everything there is to know. You can't teach us things. I'm the parent, you're the child. You can't be teaching me something I don't know.
That makes it difficult.
It makes it difficult.
Compassion and support from relatives and family members.
It makes it very difficult. And sometimes you go to the rules and you hear statements like, this city life that you live puts ideas in your head. Everything has a name now. Everyone has something they're suffering from, which is the case, unfortunately. But now it really makes it difficult for you to educate, advocate, and make people understand what's different about your children. But going back to what you were asking and making it a bit personal, I have a story. So when my daughter Sanda, which is my youngest, was 4 years old, and like I said previously, they only both became fully verbal at 7, which she's 7 now, she's more verbal. So she wasn't speaking at the time. We were in the rurals and we had a ceremony, so it was now the day that we are going to leave. But as a makoti, I'm busy cleaning, washing dishes, returning things we borrowed, and. So I'm stuck in the kitchen. My husband, being the firstborn male child, he's tasked with seeing that people ate and people that must live with,
of the overall ceremony.
Things. And some people are very old in the family members, they have to go be dropped, so he can't directly be the one that watches them, right? So it's kind of a anyone is watching the children situation. And Sanda actually sneaked out of the gate, followed a dog to a different village, which is like 20 kilometers away.
During the day?
Yes. During the in the morning, actually, not even. And I don't know how long we took before we noticed she's not around.
Because the people are looking out for the kids.
Yes. So I'm in the house, I'm busy, and now we were panicking. We looked for her for 4 hours. She went missing for 4 hours. Mind you, we know she doesn't speak. And in the rurals, she's probably going to run into someone that's going to speak closer to her. And she doesn't speak at all. And we don't know which way she went. We don't know when she left. We don't know if she's taken or if she left.
I can only imagine what's going through your mind at that time.
It was the worst time of my life. At some point I was like 2 hours in, I'm like, okay, I'm just hoping to find the body then, and know what happened. If she was taken by someone, then maybe they tossed her somewhere, at least we're gonna know what happened. And my mother-in-law took a car, she went the opposite direction, husband different direction. My husband was even bumping the car in the field, just driving anywhere, until he came across a group of guys, and they asked what he's looking for, because they know cars don't drive off the road in the rurals. And then he said he's looking for a child, and then he says they didn't look very trustworthy, and one of them goes to the other one, show him the picture, and he says he went cold. And they shows him the picture of our daughter, and he's like, this is the child I'm looking for. And now he's very scared to ask how they have a picture of her, because
he's alone.
And they said to him, you can follow us. Someone sent us searching for the family of this child because he just walked into their home. At this point, he still doesn't know if she's safe. Maybe then she was dumped by whoever took her, and then she wandered to that. So he follows them, and he's now in the most extreme panic. He gets there, and the child is nowhere to be seen. And he's greeted by this old woman who goes, I just want to make sure you really are the family of this child, and not give the child to the wrong person or the person that might have stolen the child anyway. So he has to sit through a number of questions, and while he's panicking, so he had to explain, she doesn't speak, she has this on, we don't know when she left, she would have come in this direction, she might have, if she walked by herself, she might have followed an animal possibly, she doesn't know or care for danger, she doesn't understand cars will bump her, she wants to hug them.
This is an elderly woman he's explaining to.
He has to explain how she is, for any idea that's going to give this woman that this person really knows this child, because they can't ask the child.
We thank God for women like that.
So eventually he's like, the woman was like, okay, you really do know her. She walked here, followed a dog, she arrived with it, and as soon as she got here, she went into the kraal, was playing with the chickens and the sheep. So she understood from the concept of she loves animals. And she says, I understood that she doesn't speak because I kept asking her where she comes from, what's her name. She couldn't just tell me her name. But she had a sweet in her hand. So when the other children tried to take it, she said no. Then I realized she speaks English.
No other local languages.
Yes. And if we asked her how she is, she just said fine. So in that moment, he was told, okay, they went to a nearby shop because she wouldn't share her sweet.
Wow.
So they sent her with the other kids. She's coming, and then she came back. And that's how we found her.
Wow.
At this point, everyone who was at the ceremony we had the previous day at home had gathered around. I won't forget that day. I saw the oldest, many people crying because they were like, a few months before, apparently, a child went missing and the child was never found. So this, for them, was happening again, and it was going to be setting a pattern
for their community.
A worry. And in closer villages, we have a thing called umkhosi. When something happened and it's urgent, it needs urgent attention. So women will come out with pots and hit them with the spoon, and everyone needs to know something is going on.
Oh, to make loud for the community to know.
Yes, to gather around. So a lot of people that had been there the previous day, they saw this child, they're like, oh, I'm done with Tio with dreadlocks and
cute baby, 4-year-old.
So everyone was just there, worried. They didn't know what to do. Some of the guys went around looking as well and came back empty-handed and. So that for me is a representation of a community that stands together for you or for the children that doesn't even necessarily understand your different child or whatsoever. So it was a moment where the whole village pulled through, including the people from our surrounding villages, because she walked to a whole different village. I didn't even think she was capable of walking over 20 kilometers.
It was 20
on her
kilometers.
own. Yes, because she walked past the bridge. She did walk past the bridge to another village.
She didn't even go into the bridge, over the bridge as you were worried.
Thank God for that. I don't know how she didn't get distracted by the water, but I guess her love for the dog was more important than the water. So the dog kept going, and so she kept going.
Wow. This is a powerful story about the power of the community. So what you've just unpacked is just such a touching story of how the community came through, and that elderly woman who was actually a protector in your absence, in yours and your husband's absence. And we need women like that in our communities. But what fascinates me the most is that, can you only imagine if we were to train and empower our communities with knowledge, how much support we'll get? Because we hear some of the parents that come here, they will say, I'm even afraid to go to a shopping mall. I'm even afraid to go to a restaurant, Wimpy or somewhere, because people are going to be watching my child and making all sorts of comments. But imagine if they're trained, because there's compassion clearly.
The idea of advocacy, because I've I'm 7 years into the experience of this since my first child was diagnosed. And for me, the need and importance of advocacy has grown over time. And the basic idea of it is the world needs to learn, understand, and accommodate neurodiverse people instead of battering them into adapting, because it goes against their nature to adapt. They are unique, different beings. They don't understand why they should adapt. They don't even understand that they are different or that they are thinking differently. So all these things they think about or ideas that they have that seem crazy to everyone else are like a normal thinking daily thing to them. And when it's children, you can't even explain that you are different. I'm still struggling with the idea of at what age must my children be told that they are different, because I feel they're going to need to know at some point so that the world doesn't confuse them, because they're going to be wondering, why is this called bad behavior? Why does someone stare at me like this when I make such a noise? So at some point they're gonna need to know, but the world also needs to know.
Absolutely.
We can't stretch them so much. The world is already traumatic to them. We can't stretch them beyond that for a world that could adjust to them.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, with the project that I started at work of bringing advocacy of neurodiversity of patients and mostly children that we see in the hospital, and how health sector people don't actually truly understand neurodiversity. We realized that when we introduced the recommendation of waiting room soft toys or sensory toys came, that neurotypical children fit into the world of neurodiverse children toys. But neurodivergent children need certain kind of toys that not all neurotypical children need. So for example, your autistic child will play with a car, but differently, right? They'll put it upside down and play with the wheels. A neurotypical child will think, no, that's wrong. You need to drive it on the wheels. But if you have sensory toys for neurodivergent children in the waiting room, they know how to play with them. Neurotypical children can learn how to play with them and still feel comfortable without feeling like anyone is wrong.
Absolutely.
So if that can apply to children, why can't it apply to adults? Because autistic children grow up to be autistic adults. And the fact that they were not diagnosed in the old days doesn't mean they didn't exist, right? They were boxed and they learned to be boxed.
They learned to mask it.
To mask and suppress their emotions to a point where they became socially acceptable. But
that can be exhausting.
We can change. Yes, that's what makes them depressed. And that's why people on the spectrum are susceptible to depression. That's what makes them depressed. And they're going to commit suicide because at some point they can't do it.
They can't do it anymore.
You can't pretend all your life.
Yeah, we had this young lady, just to add to what you're saying, Sarah. She's got her own podcast talking about being a teenager who's also ADHD. And she talks about how it's exhausting at school to have to adjust to different personalities, right? And she comes and you're very bubbly, she has to be bubbly. She comes and you're very mellow or slightly different. And you can imagine that whole adjustment. It can be very exhausting.
It's a push and pull. It's very exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing that I suspect continues to happen in relationships of people that have not learned to have difficult, honest conversations. Now I'm as a radio mood. Have I done something wrong? Are you being silent because I did something? Are you being silent because you just need to be silent? You want some peace and quiet. People have a fear for rejection. A lot of things come to your mind when someone is acting differently. But the idea of being able to express yourself, knowing fully well that you're comfortable in that space and you're not gonna make the other person feel bad or terrible or like they did something. Because sometimes bad things aren't anyone's fault. But we still need to talk about them.
Absolutely.
Right? And you need to be able to express such things without fear of being a bad person.
Sure, this is a bit of an emotional question that I'm about to ask, but in line with what you've just shared with our audience about having honest and difficult conversations, how important that is, I think I won't be doing justice by not asking. And because I'm married as well, and I know you're married to a wonderful husband. And I'm curious as to whether sometimes being married can feel like a business arrangement, especially when you're raising children on the spectrum, because all the focus goes to the child and, you're just like partners.
I have felt like that. And like I said, it only came into the 10th year of our marriage. That patient I stumbled upon and gave me so much wisdom. I usually term it roommates. It's like your roommates, you living past each other. The only time you get to talk is if you're talking about what needs to happen. What's the next
business
thing?
deal,
Yes.
which is the child.
What's happening tomorrow, that extramural activity, that other thing that we need them to do. And then they come back home with sensory forms because this assessments need to happen, that needs to happen. It's always something needing to happen and needing your attention. And then the kids, when they are awake, they need your attention, they need your emotions, they need your presence.
And that can be exhausting.
It's very difficult to balance. I actually have not mastered the art of balancing it, but I don't know if there's any parent that has balanced such
Absolutely. It's all a master class. We're all learning. There's no mastering it. But I'm curious as to whether there are small rituals that you and your husband have tried to try and, not necessarily going out on a dinner, on a date night or anything like that. Are there small rituals that you guys are applying to try and keep that spark going?
Yeah. So now that our kids are 10 and 7, there's this thing because so we've grown to learn that my son is very empathetic. We've started to include them on the conversations of mom and dad needing to spend time together. So Uyanda calls it quality time. So he understands that they deserve quality time with each of us, in terms of sometimes with both of us. It opened the door to introducing quality time for just the two of us. So sometimes it works even just as a daily trick of, it's bedtime now. Remember, the day is almost over. Mommy and daddy also need their quality time. And he's a rules boy, and he'll quickly go, Sandra, we need to go. You have a big girl bed. Go to your bed so that mommy and daddy can spend quality time. And then
that is so thoughtful.
He'll literally tell my husband, go spend time with your wife. That's how he puts it.
So you have done well. You guys have done well to teach them that, because more often than not, children, they like to be a center of attention naturally so. And so it's easier for them to say, no, everybody focus on me, focus on me. But you've done such a great job that they realize these people have a machine that needs to work for us to keep enjoying the support we're getting and the love.
And also because obviously we got married before they were there, and we always ask questions about, why was I not at the wedding? No, we couldn't have you before we got married. So sometimes we explain that, remember, there was mommy and daddy before you came, and mommy and daddy still need to be friends like they were before you came. So now we incorporated them in the conversation. And sometimes he'll literally just be like, on a weekend, it's fine, we've had enough quality time with mommy and daddy, let's go play on our phones and let them watch a movie for adults, because that's what they call it when it's not a movie that we can all consume, if it has violence and stuff like that. So we'll be like, go watch TV with your wife, or I think mommy is tired, do you want to have a conversation with her? But now another thing about our son that we also needed to understand and not take advantage of that is that he is a people pleaser. So sometimes his body language won't say what he's saying. So he'll be like, mommy, it's time to spend time with your husband. But if I see he's unhappy about it, it's because he wants time with us, but he thinks we're going to say no and say it's time for us. So sometimes we'll throw in that 10 minutes like, okay, quality time with just Uya, and then we lie on our bed. Lying on our bed is a big deal. We lie in our bed with him, and he likes this, kiss me both of you, then we kiss him on the cheeks together and we squash him in. So for us, it's those small things that are a quick fix of sorts. It satisfies him, it satisfies the need of being with us and feeling that we are attending to him and giving him time to say something he wants to say. And we also started a thing that we call family meeting Mondays. So on Monday, we'll be like, mommy, do you want to say something? No. Daddy, do you want to say something? No. Does Uyanda want to say something to the family? Remember, your voice is important. And then he'll say, if there's something, I didn't like this and this that you did last month. And then he cries, and because he is like that, he'll only express it a month later. But for us, that's what works. It's the ongoing conversations now that they are verbal, and they're including them to the conversations that are necessary to happen.
Oh, that is such a powerful way or nuggets that you've just shared that are so practical. I think it should be quite easy, I imagine, for anybody to try and implement in their family. Thank you for mentioning that. As we're coming close to this conversation, you know, talking to the mom, I think it's okay to talk to the mom. I'm curious, what were your aspirations before the diagnosis? What is it that you were looking at in terms of what future were you looking at as a mom, as Mampho?
You know what? This might sound very wrong, but coming from someone who is so used to having difficult, honest conversations, by now I'm just going to go ahead and say it like it is.
Okay.
I came from a family with a dysfunctional marriage. My parents didn't have a good marriage at all, not at any point. To a point where most of myself and my siblings felt like marriage is a scam. You should never get married. We had a million reasons why you should never get married. It wasn't in the plans
for you, because
it was
of the
not
experience.
in the plans. Yes.
Yeah.
And besides just my parents, everyone that I grew up with a saved mother, and she had prayer groups and prayer warriors, and they would fast together. They were all married. They were all unhappy. So even couples around our parents were going through the same things. If it wasn't alcoholism, there was GBV. If it wasn't that, there was neglect. Husband goes missing for months and pops out of the blue and must be taken care of, be attended to, and all those things. So the marriage wasn't the plan.
Because of what you were seeing around you.
Yes. And we were raised to handle ourselves in a manner that children were not the plan either. If you are not planning to get married, children come after marriage. So children were not the plan either. My mom had this rule: you can't date until after matric because that disrupts you from your books. So there were all these things that were in place from my childhood that a lot of the things that have happened in my life now were not the plan. So
you wouldn't have been here right now.
Yes. So there were no aspirations. There were no, I didn't have any interest in understanding children because I wasn't going to have them. I even was in a Catholic boarding school from grade 8 to grade 12. There was a point I considered being a nun because in my mind, I'm not going to get married, right? And I'm not interested in dating. That's for boys to play with your time and for distracting you. I'm not going to have children, so why not?
The best route is just being a nun.
Why not be a nun? Because they represented so much values for me, and coming from the principles I came from, they are giving. They just exist to give and be there for people and guide people. And might I add, I seemed different to some of my teachers in high school already. And they thought it might have been depression, and they sent me for counseling. And a qualified counselor in my space at the time was a nun that was educated. And that was my first exposure to therapy at the age of 15. So I've come a long way with understanding the fullness of my cup. The importance, because in Black families, therapy is not a thing. It's for crazy people.
No. We don't do therapy in Black families generally. I mean, now things have changed, obviously.
So this I understood from the age of 15, where I processed so many emotions of everything that had happened before I was 15. And I carried those strategies into my adulthood, and I feel like I've understood myself for longer. So when I did...
So you carried less baggage into marriage because you kind of healed through that therapy moment, essentially, which most people don't get to do, at least to some extent.
Yes, I worked on myself, but I believe that my level of empathy means I still carry a lot from my past, because everything I come across goes through a sieve of the experience I've already had. What must I do? How is it making me feel? And I question myself so much, I overthink. Because I know there's levels to myself, there's levels to my feelings, levels to my emotions, and I'm always watching out for not letting it out on the wrong person, right? So it's a lot of work.
Yeah, but that's very that level of awareness is very empowering to a bigger extent compared to somebody who has not had therapy and they don't understand there's different levels to my feelings, and am I dumping it on the kids? Am I dumping it on my husband? So I think, if I may add, you have had a very privileged position to be able to have a therapy.
I did.
Yeah.
And I often say to people, empaths will tell you, it's like a blessing and a curse. Because people find it easy to talk to you, and you feel everything that they talk about, and then it feels like you've experienced everything that everyone has experienced. But I think I noticed my empathy already with my mother. With the marriage she had, she still thanks me to this day. I was that child that would just hug her and say she's going to be fine without her saying how she was feeling. So I used to read her energy and be accommodating to her. It carried on into my life. So when I met my husband,
it was a miracle, because you're not supposed to get married. Your future was supposed to look different.
Yes. He was supposed to be my older brother because he was my brother's best friend. And then we were supposed to just be friends. But I think because of the difference in how we are, our romance didn't come from attraction. It came from realizing and understanding the best qualities of each other. It came in the form of care. I appreciate how much he cared as an older brother for me. And he appreciated how much I understood and respected him as a younger sister, to a point where men love respect, right? I was already giving the respect. He was providing the protection and care. And in no time, that shaped into what it became. And once we started dating, marriage came up. He came from a background where his mother isn't married, never got married. I came from a background where my mother was married but was miserable in all of that. And it was a difficult conversation to navigate for the both of us. Knowing that we don't have experience of what we think we want to do if we get married, that's going to be different from all the failed marriages around us. Yes. But we just kept believing that our dating was different. The things we spoke about were different. We sometimes used to go, do you think we are too young to talk about the kind of things we talk about? But we believed in it. And it took us to the belief of, we're going to have a different marriage. And then we discussed it right at the beginning. If after 5 years we still feel like we feel about each other, then we'll be interdependent, then we should get married. Which we did after 5 years of dating. We felt the same. So we got married. Once we were married, children were a topic. So I didn't have preempt feelings of, this is the kind of mother I want to be. These are the kind of children I want to have. I didn't have mommy-daughter moments, matching outfit thoughts, this hairstyle and that hairstyle. And thank God, I guess, that is the background, because then I ended up with a different daughter that doesn't want to be touched, doesn't want her hair washed, wouldn't let her hair be styled until she was 6. And it would have been disappointing for someone who had preempt thoughts.
Absolutely. And when you are speaking to that, there's something called a grieving process. When you've had these aspirations and dreams about your children, and when they come, they're slightly different than what you expect.
Grieving the realization.
Grieving the realization. For some people, it takes years. You didn't have any of those, because this is not the path.
I didn't have previous experience with children. I didn't know what milestones are supposed to be. I didn't know what to expect of them. I just came into it with, now I have a child, now what? And then I took it a day at a time, and that's why it took 3 years to diagnose our child. Yes, something seemed different, but not out of the ordinary much from our families. But eventually it became what it is, and we were able to deal with it. And sometimes I say this is how it's difficult for parents to accept that their children are different, right? And sometimes when I say I have autistic children, a person goes, "Oh, shame." I'm like, no, that's not how I feel. At a time when I've accepted it, that's not how I feel. I'm very excited about it. It didn't be something I would never have chosen it. It's difficult to have to suddenly carve a whole different, unique way of raising children to any experienced adults that can teach you, right? But I have 2 autistic children. They are all I know. Neurodivergent children is all I know. That gives me an advantage at work.
Absolutely.
That gives me an advantage of no one can judge me as a bad parent. They don't know what my child needs. They don't
know my point of reference.
They can judge me that my children are different and maybe it's because of my parenting, but they can't judge me as a bad parent because my children need things that are different. So I'm having it my own way, how I do it. And the only thing, reference I have of criticism is self-criticism. Just go back to myself, check myself, and correct myself.
Sure, I like how you're ending that part, because I think at the core of this whole episode is to say, you're not just a mom at home, you're not just a caregiver, you are the whole human, right? You're the whole human, and your child learns from your strengths and how kind you are to yourself. As you say, when I make mistakes, I go back and I check myself, right? I take moments in the car to say, honey, I'm going to be a little bit late. I'm safe in the car. I'm just listening to my song, right? All those moments that you can take to just point to yourself, as you have heard from Mampho. It shouldn't require a lot for you to take those small moments. So, Mampho, we're about to wrap up and coming to an end of this session. And when you know, we sit with you on this couch, when I sit with you on this couch in particular, we can go on and on forever,
for days.
And you know, it can literally take the whole day, because I love the way you talk about this journey, and I love the fresh perspective that you give, and the practical nuggets that parents who are going through the same journey can learn from you, and it's such a powerful experiences that you have shared. So to the parents at home, I want you to hear this. You are doing enough. Even on your hardest day, even when you are raising your voice, even when you're falling to bed exhausted, you are enough. And in this community, you don't walk alone, as you've heard from Mampho. There's a hand to hold, whether that would be your husband or your sister or somebody, or the village that you have actually come to build and trust. It's important that you have a hand that you can hold, that you can share your story, and a reminder that love, imperfect, messy, real love is the greatest gift you've already ever given to your child. From us at Beyond the Box, please like, follow, and share. And this is goodbye.